At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Rick, and if you had to design a character whose life was one long streak of bad luck, Rick would be the blueprint. We meet him sprinting down the street, chasing a school bus that has no intention of stopping for him, and yet somehow, he catches it. He pounds on the door. The driver lets him on. For 1 second, it feels like this is Rick's day. It is not. The moment Rick steps onto that bus and looks around for a seat, the entire vehicle goes quiet. Not the good kind of quiet. The kind where you realize nobody wants you near them. Students look away. Seats get saved. Nobody is outright rude. They just don't want Rick around. With nowhere else to go, Rick drops into the seat next to the only person who tolerates him, his friend Trey. And Trey is honest with you, to the point where you wish he wasn't. The moment Rick starts stealing glances at a girl sitting a few rows ahead, Trey shuts it down immediately. Her name is Jill. Rick is absolutely gone for her. He can't stop staring. Trey looks him dead in the eye and says what everyone else is thinking. Someone like Jill would never go for someone like Rick. Brutal. True. Rick ignores it because that's what Rick does. The class field trip takes everyone to an animal research center, and this is where things go spectacularly wrong. Rick approaches Jill with what he thinks is a smooth opener. He's a gifted photographer and wants to take stunning shots of her at the facility. One problem: photography is strictly banned. Signs everywhere. Rick ignores them. He spots a rare bird near Jill, the perfect shot. He raises the camera. The flash goes off. And the bird catches fire. No one connects the flash to the flames. Rick panics, stomping around trying to put it out. The burning bird slips free and lands directly on Lawrence, Jill's boyfriend. Lawrence is not pleased. He turns on Rick with full fury. But before things escalate, someone unexpected steps in: Uncle Lou, one of the center's major investors. He recognizes Rick, asks about his family. Rick tells him his parents are gone. He lives with his uncle and aunt now. Lou softens and walks away. The moment Lou is gone, Lawrence shoves Rick hard directly into a pile of animal waste. Rick grabs the nearest liquid to clean himself off. It is not water. It's a chemical used to attract male animals. Within seconds, creatures are swarming him from every direction. The facility erupts into laughter. Jill watches. Everyone watches. Rick stands there, draped in animals, completely mortified. And in the middle of all this chaos, so small that Rick doesn't notice, a dragonfly bites him on the arm. Back at school, a special guest is waiting. Stephen Hawking, there to inspire the student body. His speech is powerful. Limitations are the beginning of the story, not the end. Rick is half listening, still chasing Jill's attention. He stumbles into Lawrence again. A struggle breaks out. Rick's hand gets jammed inside a sink fixture. When he wrenches free, the entire sink comes with him and flies straight into Lawrence. Rick runs. He collides with a large man in the hallway. When he tries to pull away, his hands are stuck physically adhered to the man's body. He yanks free with such force that the man's clothing tears off entirely. Students freeze. Teachers freeze. Because what just happened is not normal. Rick steps outside, away from the stairs. Something feels different. On a hunch, he walks to a nearby building and presses his hands against the wall. And starts climbing. Straight up, like gravity forgot about him. He reaches the top, looks down, and for the first time in his life, Rick feels extraordinary. That feeling doesn't last. Below, he spots a woman walking her dog. A truck comes barreling around the corner, driver out of control. Rick drops down and throws himself between her and the truck. It crashes into him at full speed. Rick is fine. The truck is destroyed. But when he turns to check on the woman, his heart drops. In pushing her clear of the truck, he accidentally sent her into an industrial cutting machine nearby. She didn't survive. He saved her from one thing and delivered her to something worse. He stands there staring. This is the weight of power without control, and it's going to follow him. Back home, Rick tells his uncle and aunt everything. His uncle grabs a knife and drives it into Rick's arm to test the claim. The blade bends. Not a scratch. His uncle stares at the warped knife, then at Rick, and accepts the truth. Then we get pulled into the past, a memory Rick carries like a stone. A younger Rick is with his parents, coming home from a show. Robbers ambush them on the street. Rick tries to intervene, and something goes horribly wrong. He accidentally causes both their deaths with his own hands. His father, in his final moments, presses a ring into Rick's palm. Back in the present, Rick still has that ring. No matter how many times he tries to let it go, it finds its way back. Then Jill shows up at the door. She tells Rick she's unhappy with Lawrence, that she has feelings for him. Rick can barely breathe, let alone respond. Before anything can happen, Lawrence pulls up in a brand new sports car. Jill glances at it, looks back at Rick, and says she wishes he had something like that. Then she gets in with Lawrence and drives away. Rick looks at his broken bicycle. That night, Rick finds information about a professor who runs a secret school for people with superpowers. The idea plants itself and doesn't let go. First, he needs money. He heads to the bank with his uncle and aunt for a loan. It becomes a hostage situation. Armed robbers storm the bank. In the chaos, Rick somehow ends up helping the robbers escape when they can't get the door open. Outside, Rick spots a crowd around a performing monkey, then hears his uncle groaning. His condition has turned critical. A medical team rushes him to the hospital. Meanwhile, across the city, Uncle Lou is standing in front of a mirror looking satisfied. Then his body starts weakening. His assistant walks in at exactly the wrong moment. Lou grabs her and drains her completely. She crumples to the floor, dead. Lou straightens up, fully restored. He opens a cabinet, tucks the body inside, and closes it like he's putting away a coat. After visiting his uncle, Rick makes his decision. Time to find the professor. Professor Xavier leads him through a school unlike any other, filled with people of every age, each with their own impossible ability. For the first time, Rick doesn't feel like the strange one in the room. Xavier introduces his wife, who is holding what looks like a toy. The toy is their son. The kid raises his hands and flings Xavier across the room. Mrs. Xavier barely flinches. She's more bothered that Rick showed up without a costume. If he's going to be here, he needs one. Rick designs it himself. Green, with a dragonfly on the chest, because that's where this started. One tiny bite that changed everything. In costume, he climbs to a rooftop. Another hero is already there in a nearly identical suit, telling Rick this is his spot. Rick shrugs and suggests they share it. The next morning, Rick goes on a job interview because even heroes need income. He brings pictures of himself in the costume. The HR manager passes. He doesn't get the job. Then news breaks. A university is under attack. Rick's university. He disappears without a word. At the campus, chaos is already spreading. At the center of it, a figure in a silver suit, Uncle Lou, fully transformed. His plan: extract blood from young people and turn it into a serum to keep himself alive indefinitely. Rick arrives. Their first real face-off begins. They exchange punishing blows. Lou launches razor blades at Rick. The suit holds. Rick is more durable than Lou expected. Realizing he can't finish this, Lou breaks away and escapes. Jill watched the whole thing, completely captivated by the hero in green. No idea it's Rick under that mask. That evening, Rick, out of costume, finds Jill outside a theater. He's nervous, fumbling. She admits she was hoping he'd ask her out, but Rick freezes. Jill gives up and walks away, frustrated. Minutes later, a group of men begin following Jill. Rick reappears in costume and shuts it down fast. Jill is overjoyed. She's falling for the Dragonfly hero. The irony is suffocating. Back in his lab, Lou makes a calculation that changes everything. If he drains the life force of 47,000 people, he won't just survive, he becomes completely immortal. One event, tens of thousands of victims, forever. He starts planning the location. Around this time, Rick's aunt invites Jill to dinner. The evening turns when Lawrence shows up, and with him, Uncle Lou. Rick sneaks in wearing his costume and tries to slip to his room. Lou follows, suspicious. Rick barely stays hidden. Lou returns to the dining room and Rick is already there, dressed normally. Lou notices a wound on Rick's hand, asks casually. Rick deflects with a story about a street fight. Lou doesn't need more. The wound matches the blade he threw at the university. He knows. Rick is the Dragonfly. Lawrence leaves. Rick and Jill are finally alone, then Lou bursts back in, not as the investor, as the villain. Rick tries to fight. He's overpowered. Lou kills Rick's aunt. Rick rushes to the hospital to warn his uncle. The doctor says bad news could be fatal, but another physician, unaware, reveals the truth before Rick can stop it. His uncle collapses with grief. The funeral is devastating. His uncle tries to climb into the coffin with his wife. When the casket is opened, her body isn't there. Then, through a darkly absurd chain of events, her body arrives and rolls directly into a nearby fire. It burns, in front of everyone. Days pass. Rick is home, sinking. Grief has hollowed him out. Then his uncle arrives with Trey. He places the ring in Rick's hand, his father's ring, and tells him what Rick needed to hear. You are not just anyone. You are a superhero. And superheroes do not stop. A villain is planning to kill thousands. Rick is the only one who can stop it. Rick says he wants to help, but every time he tries, things go wrong. His uncle doesn't argue. He points at the television. A news report. A massive convention in the city. They all know immediately that's where Lou will strike. At the convention, Rick spots Lou in the crowd. Still not knowing Lou is the villain, Rick actually asks him who the supervillain is. Lou doesn't miss a beat. He points to a random monk on stage and says, calmly, that's him. Rick puts on his costume and starts fighting the monk. The monk has no idea what is happening to him. While Rick beats up an innocent man, Lou slips away, transforms, and attacks from above, bringing the entire roof crashing down on Rick. Rick survives, tries to lift it, but it crashes back and pins him. Lou begins raining blades from above. Then Jill does something no one expected. She steps forward and takes the hit. Several blades meant for Rick find her instead. She falls. She did it for the Dragonfly. She didn't know she was doing it for Rick. Rick tears free. He carries Jill to the rooftop, where Lou's machine is already running, draining thousands of people below, the immortality countdown ticking in real time. Rick reaches the machine and reverses it, pushes Jill's life back into her. She opens her eyes. Rick turns to Lou. The villain throws everything: blades, energy, raw force. Rick keeps moving, absorbing every hit, refusing to stop. He reaches the machine. He reaches Lou. He destroys it. The explosion tears through the rooftop. Rick and Jill fall together through open air. As they fall, Jill looks at Rick's hand. The ring, the one she's seen on him before. Something clicks. She looks at his face, the costume, the ring again. And she knows. The Dragonfly, the hero she fell for, the one who saved her twice, the one she never gave enough credit when he was just Rick, is Rick. And that's where the movie leaves us. A loser-turned-superhero who never asked for power, spent the whole story trying to prove himself to everyone, and discovered the person he needed to prove himself to most was himself. If you made it this far, did you see that ending coming? Drop your answer in the comments, and tell us what movie you want us to break down next. If you haven't subscribed yet, we just broke down an entire movie for you, scene by scene. The least you can do is hit subscribe. It costs nothing, takes 2 seconds, and it keeps us going. Don't make us regret it. Subscribe, now. We'll be waiting.